2, 1. Welcome everybody to Secret Sex Dungeon. My name's Luke McFan. I am the DM. We're really sorry for the delay in start this evening. We had a couple of audio issues that were on my end this time because I am a dork. But it doesn't really matter any longer because we're here. We're going to be playing Dungeons and Dragons. We've got the whole crew here ready to play the adventurers from the Secret Sex Dungeon. In the previous episode, our adventurers continued walking through the archives of Daggerford. They were lost within these archives after selling the body of a hybrid fiend to the Arcanum and attempting to make their way back out now. They find themselves lost amongst a whole heap of rooms. We, in the previous episode, encountered a fair amount of different creatures, but mostly we ended up in a location that was called the Medica. And in the Medica, we found that there was a very large amount of undead creatures that were sort of, I suppose, set up and propped on stands, kind of like cadavers that were used for medical studies. But something far more dark was going on at that point in time. And as we got to the end of the last episode, with a few of our adventurers having to leave early, I was able to take over their roles, and we had a relatively successful mission, at the end of which Beleaguer had found a staff, a very long, 8-foot dark timber staff that had a hand at the top of it. And she has picked this up, and currently we are standing around in a relatively dim-lit room. And what is going on, everyone? You can see currently you have exits to the north and the east that are both kind of just hallways. You can see these in front of you, but what are you doing?
There are 3 things I would like to do.
Okay.
Firstly, I would like to inspect my packed blade to be working right in that fight and make sure it's okay. Your fault?
So you want to inspect the packed blade and make sure everything's okay?
Yes.
Okay. So, sorry, I'm just realizing we might have a few audio issues. Sorry, I'll just be one moment while I get that sorted out. The audio here is coming from my mic. If I change that, properties, default. Okay, can someone go ahead and say something?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Everybody's saying hello.
Something, something.
Fantastic.
Oh, I'm so sorry, something.
Yeah, I think my dude's tired. I think Sil's bugged. It might want to have a short rest.
Okay.
I think a short rest is a good idea.
Can we take like 30 minutes to just sort of chill and maybe take a seat away from the cadavers that strewn across the room?
Quick question. Emotionally attached away to these cadavers because Thorax Jr. is a growing young behemoth.
I'd be worried they'd make him sick.
Get rid of them! Get rid of these foul beasts!
Give him a
balanced diet. He's eating lots of it.
I would recommend just giving a taste of it, and if he's okay after our short rest, then feeding the rest.
I vote no, and I point him at the pile and let him rip.
That's
okay.
Okay, so you can see in front of you that there are these 12 cadaver bodies that are just strewn across the room. You point Thoju at it, and just go ahead and roll me an animal handling check for the moment. While you're...
I'm just going to call
I have since left
5, 15.
15? Okay, so that's plenty. You managed to sort of control him over into the area where all the bodies are, and, you know, the first minute passes and he's crammed like 3 of these bodies down his throat already. It's just like watching some crazy eating competition where they're just getting shoveled down his mouth. And unless anyone wants to intervene here, he continues. There is... Oh, yep, someone throws up.
Can I, while he's doing this, can I have a quick check to make sure there's not nothing important being in here?
Yeah, sure. Roll
Just have a look around. Roll perception.
Yeah, just a perception while you're watching him eat these bodies.
Yes. Well, that would equal 11.
11. Nothing really out of the ordinary. You're kind of like watching these bodies just get crammed into the gullet of this like new giant frog that seems to be controlled by Thorax. It is kind of just getting through these bodies. They're kind of splintering a little bit. You see a bone pop out occasionally that kind of gets chewed on, and you hear sucking sounds that kind of would end up, I suppose, as hollow, like air coming through a bone as the marrow's been sucked out, and he just continues shoveling bodies down. And by the time you finish looking, you're just like, I don't know that there's anything else that we're really missing here. And he's gotten through about 6 bodies by this time. There's still about...
Can I hit the froghemoth, like with a gentle tap and say, easy buddy? What role do I have to do for that?
That'd be animal handling. So you walk past and you're just like, hey, easy buddy, and you like smack him on the back. The legs kind of...
15 plus 0.
Okay, so 15. It kind of looks at you for a second, a bit shocked, and Thorax, at this point, the eyes kind of like sweep past you on the stalk that they're sitting on, and these 3 giant frog eyes just look immediately at you, Davos, and it kind of like everything in the room is tense for a moment, just completely silent, and then you just hear come from the frog, and a little bit of cloth like falls out of the side of its mouth, which it licks up quite quickly, and then gets back to looking around the room. It kind of grabs another body and just begins pulling it apart with the tentacles that it has, and throwing more food down its gullet.
Didn't work very well.
So my pack play, everything seemed okay there?
Yeah, so you take a second and you summon your packed blade, this katana that kind of looks to be like covered in almost biological like steel growth, and as you kind of look across the weapon, everything seems to be fine. Doesn't look like there's any issues with the weapon. It doesn't look any different to when you've summoned it in the past. Is there anything in particular that you're looking for?
No, just in that fight, it didn't impact the crystal at all, and I'm just like making sure that there wasn't any issues.
Yeah, I think you had a relatively low roll on that one when you were attempting to hit the crystal, and it didn't meet the kind of armor class of that object. So it kind of glanced off the side of what you were attempting to hit.
I know that.
Technical question.
Doesn't know that.
Sorry, no, technical question.
Yes.
Like, if you roll a bad roll, does the character know that they missed?
No, it's kind of like, I mean, when you do something really well, like everything kind of flows together and it works perfectly. Like say you are, like if you're doing something dexterous, say you're sitting at a chopping board and you're like trying to chop perfectly like 1 centimeter thick slices of chicken, and you just go and you get it done super quickly. That's like rolling a natural 20. When you're trying to do that and you're like fumbling and cutting like awkward chunks and random shit like that, and then you cut the back of your nail and it kind of like goes into the nail bed a little bit, that's rolling a natural 1. So that's kind of like from a character perspective what it would seem like.
You kind of know that you did something not as good if you rolled like a...
Yeah, if you rolled a 5 and you were trying to hit something, you know that that wasn't the best strike that you've ever made.
Yeah, that's actually quite important. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so
the other thing...
Yep.
The other thing I want to do is I want to go up to Surgeon Nader.
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, they're in the room.
Yeah, so the guards are kind of standing there looking around.
And I was Surge, Nada, I just wanted to check in and make sure you're all right. I know when we asked you to escort us to the candle pit, we had no idea that we were going to get into this kind of situation. There's been a lot of kind of freaky things. I just want to make sure you two are doing okay.
Yeah, you look across at Surge, and he's kind of like wiping what looks like just some black, like very coagulated blood off of his sword at the moment, and he's just like, yeah, I didn't really see this happening today. And he's like, Nada, you doing okay? And just roll a medicine check as you look over at Nada.
I'm sure I'm great at medicine.
I'm certain. You're like the cleric of the party.
I am a noble healer. So that would be a 5.
A 5.
So noble.
He's looking a bit pale, but you know, like he kind of nods and he's just like, just get me out of here, man. I just want to go. What way are we going? And kind of looks at both of you.
I understand, and I'll do everything I can to make sure you're okay, and thank you for your assistance.
It's fine. I'll be asking for a bit of a bonus this afternoon. I think I didn't really have the Horde of Undead on my agenda for today. I'm meant to be getting home to cook some beef.
And hey, if we live through this, I'll buy you a beer.
Yeah, and that's all.
If we live through this.
And you see Nadar kind of
to lighten the mood.
again, the color kind of drains from his face as he looks over at you still, and you kind of like having your disheveled clothes now that have been through acid and through a fight with undead, and you kind of are just taking a bit of time to like assure him that it's okay. But are you guys taking a short rest at the moment?
Yes.
Please.
Cool.
I think I'd like to use this short rest opportunity to remember that there was a time where I left an item in a room, and I do recall several moments ago I threw a spear, and I will remember that I threw a spear, and I pick up that spear. That spear is mine.
Learning. That's good. So yeah, you walk across and pick up the spear, which is kind of
Yes.
it has gone straight through one of these creatures when you've attacked them. And yeah, it's recoverable, works well. There's no issues there. So you mount that back onto your pack and continue. So if everyone's taking a short rest, go ahead and roll any hit die that you would like to. Up to your level maximum. So I think at the moment, if you guys have got all your hit die, you should have 4. And go ahead and roll as many as you'd like to replenish your hit die pool. And then for Beleaguer...
Can I ask if I took any more damage?
No, you guys cleaned
No,
it up.
I took everything.
Belle took a bit of
I got like 9 HP.
She got mobbed, which wasn't so great, but the rest
Yeah.
of you kind of got through it pretty quickly. Belle, however, on this short rest, you do gain spell slots up to your wizard level. So if you are your 4th level wizard, so you can either get 2 second level, you can get 2 second level spells back, or 4 first level spells.
I don't know whether I can do that. I think I have to have a long rest for it to happen to get any of my spell slots back.
Just let me double check something. I was reading something the other day about short rests and wizard rests. But anyway, roll your hit die.
Your warlock
I know,
can do it on a short rest.
yeah, I know warlocks can get their spells back.
Do we get how many hit die do we get back? Did you?
Unless it's like a fate or something.
However many you have left, you can roll.
Yeah.
You don't get any back though, do you, on a short?
They say you've got 4 d8s. You can roll all 4, but they only replenish like a certain amount per long rest.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Good.
You get half back on a long rest.
Exactly.
Yeah. Very good.
Okay, so Arcane Recovery, I think, is something that you would have as a wizard, Belle. and it says that you have learned to regain some of your magical energy by studying your
But
spells.
is that supposed to be like a thing that I'm supposed to already have, or is that
Yeah, it's a first level
I'm
thing for
supposed to use a
wizards.
spell slot for that?
It's a first level thing for wizards. So once per day, when you finish a short rest, you can choose expended spell slots to recover. The spell slots can have a combined level that is equal to or less than half your wizard level rounded up. And none of the slots can be 6th level or higher.
So two.
It says here, for example, if you're a 4th level wizard, you can
So it'll
recover
be either like 1 second spell slot or 2 first ones.
Yep. So you can do that if you like.
If you're level 3.
Yep. You guys are level 4 at the moment.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, level 4, so then 2 anyway.
Yep. So you can either get your 2nd level spell slot back or 2 first level spell slots.
Well, now that I've sat down and had a sandwich, I'm feeling much better.
And I've had a meditation. And I feel like I get all my kung fu energy back.
Still.
It just feels that way, you know?
My spells again.
It's a great feeling. You just feel alive.
Still.
While you're next to the dead bodies and the giant frog.
While you are taking your short rest still and meditating, go ahead and just roll a wisdom check for me. So use your proficiency for this, because I'd say you're proficient at meditation. So add your proficiency bonus and your wisdom modifier to a d20 roll.
So adding proficiency and wisdom modifier to the d20, you said?
Yep.
Oop, I'm cutting out.
Also,
I rolled a 16 total.
Okay, we'll get back to that in a tick. What were you going to say, Belinda?
how long since our fight has passed, duration-wise?
Honestly, with like the looping back that you did in the last episode and the rooms that you've been through, you came in at midday and you think it's getting into the afternoon. Like it could be anywhere from, like no one's really keeping time, but you feel like perhaps 4 or 5 hours have passed.
Sorry, I meant like in this last room from me getting in this time now.
Oh, so we've just taken an hour break for the short rest, so you can spend...
Is it instantaneous, or are we... Because I have to tune for... At the moment, Bill doesn't know that I'm not allowed to tune. So I have to be trying to tune to the staff for an hour, so I'm trying to work out whether she would know by now that something's not right to do a Arcana check.
Okay, so the two things that you can do within this hour break, I'll give you the option. You can either regain your... like 2 points of spell slots, so your 2 first level or 1 second level spell, or you can spend an hour attuning to the item.
Yeah, I've just done the spells and hit points, so...
Okay, cool. So you've got the item with you, and that is something that you could... Like, it still functions as a quarterstaff, but you wouldn't be able to use the magical properties of it until you attune to it.
Okay, but the short rest itself can still be like 4 hours, can't it? Are we deciding as a group we're going to spend an hour?
You guys can take longer if you want, but after an hour, that's like...
I think we're going to do an hour.
Yeah, if you're in like a dungeon in like a creepy sort of room with dead bodies and a crazy frog, I don't know, an hour.
We best not dally here too long.
Why is the frog crazy? What does the frog
He's from that ad with the crazy frog. That's why it's crazy.
Well,
Every time the froghemoth does anything, you gotta do 5 minutes of that crazy frog.
It's like being alive in the early 2000s again.
What's in the early 2000s?
In the early 2000s, every 5 minutes, all you hear is the crazy frog tune.
I've never been
Or some version of the crazy
The
frog.
crazy frog, yeah.
Okay,
I don't know this time
currently
period which
you
you
are
speak.
you are finishing your short rest.
Oh.
Everyone is
Yes.
sitting about, and Sil, you have spent the last probably half an hour meditating. You're spending time focusing
Certainly.
on the edicts that you've been taught about your craft. You are kind of focusing your energy to your central, like to your core, and regaining as much, regenerating as much as possible as you can within the time. You, within this meditation, begin to cast your senses beyond you. You're kind of pushing. You hear like the sound of the air going through the nostrils of the froghemoth and the kind of like stickiness of the mucus that's inside of the frog, and you dismiss that from your mind as you let the thought go. You continue listening, and you can hear the arcane energy that kind of fizzles as Magnus lets go of his packed weapon. And you begin to cast yourself beyond this room, and your attention begins to focus northwards, and you initially pick up the sound of footsteps and voices. You hear murmured, like extremely quiet, hushed whispers between two people, one that sounds rather noble and the other which sounds familiar. You take a moment to hone in on this voice, and the voice is escaping your mind. You can't quite pick up what is familiar about it, but there is something else that you can detect in your like higher proprioception here, and you have this kind of I suppose it's a pull towards an object that is from your past. There is something that your master used during meditation that would, I suppose, center you extremely quickly and give you a lot of regenerated energy. It's something that is quite memorable for you, this singing bowl. And not until now that you've actually kind of spent this time sitting here and processing your thoughts, upon returning after heading to the Lightwatch Tower in the south, you remember talking with Artis and him talking about being robbed on the road and a bowl going missing that they had found that was a relic. You focus, and the familiarity snaps you out of your bliss state of mindfulness in that point, and it kind of brings you back into your body and your surrounds. And you kind of look, you open your eyes, and immediately you just see the skeleton, its face kind of ripped off and teeth like broken up from the staff that you used to bash it in the face a couple of times. And you kind of immediately become aware of the room that you're sitting in and where you are and what was going on. But that is a blip that is on your radar currently.
So I stand up and I look around, and then I say, "We go straight for that door."
I believe him and follow it.
Cool. So as you get up still and begin to move northwards, what's everyone else doing? You kind of pass through this archway, and you can see that the archway has various languages kind of all depicting the same thing. You can see Common and Elvish still. You could... what other languages do you know?
I know Sylvan, but that's currently a secret. I understood stuff that I wasn't meant to hear.
Yeah, that's alright. Characters in game don't know this, and I think that people probably may have forgotten. But either way, you do see that there are two languages written across the top of this, and it says, "For all things, knowledge is gained." And it's kind of just inscripted across the stone archway a couple of times in different languages as you walk through. You continue walking forward through this kind of labyrinthine area that you've been making your way through, and you can see that there's a hallway that turns to the right up ahead. And as you continue walking along this hallway, you can see that it opens up into a much longer section that has branching kind of hallway off of the that continues to the east.
Interesting. So who's with me?
I'll be with you. Yeah.
I should run and just follow.
Cool. So everyone begins following you, Sil.
I follow with Bell.
Cool. You've remained silent up to this point, and Davos, you're kind of like hot on his tail at the moment, just following.
Okay, so within this labyrinth, and I'm peering around the corner. Are we looking at two separate ways or dead ends?
You can see what appears to be a dead end in the north there, and it appears that it would continue sort of to the east with the hallway in the south. But it's up to you. Just roll a, because you're on point still, roll a perception check.
Perception, you said?
Yeah, perception check. 23. Okay, so you begin looking around and you can see that there is a whole heap of interesting kind of like pictures depicted on the sides of the hall here. There's a couple of random like what would you call it? I suppose they're images of like different spells that have been cast and different famous wizards and things like this. And it looks like down to the east there, it is just a singular path that ends in like a hall, like an alcove that has like a statue where someone has been depicted in marble as like an arcane teller. You can see he's holding a spellbook in one hand, and in his left hand there is like a crystal orb, and he seems to be like speaking words of command. You do, however, hear from that southern passageway something that could sound either like footsteps or like it seems as though there's air coming through from that hallway, and it seems like that could be the path that you take.
It would be, I say, go must, but I follow this way. Who is with me?
I guess.
Hooray!
I guess this is me, not the character.
Cool.
Yeah, you're a bit more on Team Still here than you make out.
I am.
So you continue walking.
So you can go, or you can follow me.
Do.
Okay, so you continue walking up through this hallway, and you get to a point where there is...
Cut out.
Oh, am I cutting out?
I have no idea too.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, can you guys hear me okay again?
That's a lot better.
Fantastic.
Yes.
I stopped doing things on my computer. Just running off of a little laptop here, folks, so sorry for any delays. We will endure. The hallway continues to the north now still. You can see that it continues beyond where you are, and on the left-hand side, heading to the west, there seems to be some kind of doorway. The hallway does continue, however, but it's up to you which direction you head here.
I'd just like to say, is how dark is this space at the moment that we're going through?
It's similar to when you first came in, so there's just these small amounts, like pinpricks of light along the hall. So as you've been doing this, you kind of have been walking through relatively dark kind of hallways, and I suppose the presence of friends is something that does give you a bit of comfort, but it's quite dark.
allow me to help.
Yes.
And I cast dancing lights and condense them into the Raven and send it flying just ahead of Seal, so it's going to go forward as he does.
Oh, cool. So you continue following this
Very
Raven,
nice.
Raven forward still.
Yeah.
It's shedding kind of like 30 feet of light around it, mostly illuminating the hallway, but you can see that even as it sort of is off the ground by about 10 feet, the roof of this area is only dimly lit. There isn't the kind of shallow roofing that would be in most of the rooms here, just cavernous volumes of space.
So we've reached the... Is it a door that's to our left as we go through?
So on the left-hand side, you see this small alcove where there's a doorway, and the doorway has a section on it that says Grand Library. And it doesn't appear to be locked.
Who wants to go to a library?
I do.
And you can see that further
Let's just get out of here.
further north of where you are, there is a continuing with the light that is being thrown by the what do you call it? The Raven. You can see that there's a door that is in the north as well, but it's up to you whether you want to check that.
Hey, we go north.
Library.
Well, I say we take the first door we come to.
Fine.
Library. Here, then we go elsewhere.
And then the exit's in the library.
I'm not looking for the exit.
What are you looking for?
Follow, and you will find out.
Yeah, okay.
Chloe, can you check the door for traps for us, just in case this whole place has been a basket of crazy? I don't want to walk
Like
in
a room.
Yes, please be the human shield for us.
Thank you, Squishy Rogue Shield.
Everyone
Hey,
knows.
meet shield. Meet shield, Co.
Beck,
Hey, Co the meet shield.
can you hear what's going on right now?
Yeah, sorry. Faye's just been busy.
Okay, what's she busy with? Chewing your leg.
Occasionally.
Okay, so if you can go ahead and roll an insight check for me, as investigation check, sorry, as you come up to look for traps, that would be good.
18.
18. So you have a bit of a look over the door. There's a heavy, like, brass knob on the outside of it that you kind of look at for a second and realize that there's no mechanism that kind of is like attached to the handle. So you give it a bit of a twist, and it unbolts quite easily, not locked or anything like that. And you begin looking at the lock, just making sure that there's nothing going on. And on the opposite side of it, again, there's this slightly brighter atmosphere inside of the room than in the hallway where you are. But you do realize that as you begin to push the door forward, there's no traps. It's just a door that is unlocked.
So I kind of just like tap the door open and I stand back behind the doorway on side everyone's on.
Okay, sweet.
Just in case anybody comes out, just in case.
Cool.
I just walk in regardless.
Yeah, so you begin doing this, and then immediately Davos kind of pushes past you and begins walking into the room. And from where you're standing, Davos, you can see that there is just shelves and shelves and shelves of books in this area. It looks as though there's just hundreds of bookends from where you are. Magnus, you can see the same. It almost looks like there's a little reading area in the south that is a little open.
I kind of just sniff and I just go, gross.
Yeah, it smells like...
Catalogued by the Dewey Decimal System.
Dewey Decimal does not exist in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, so you're not sure of the cataloging system. But you do find that there are signs that do show areas of research along the shelves, and you can see kind of things like Abjura, what else would there be? There'd be like illusionist, evoker, like different sections of texts as you kind of walk down the different halls of books. As you guys
Can I investigate? Sorry, you go, Luke.
No, that's okay. As you guys walk in, I'll just get Sil, Davos, Magnus, and Co at this point in time to go ahead and roll perception checks. And while that's happening, Beleaguer, Falcor, and Thorax, what are you guys doing?
Well, personally, I'm not sure if Thoju is hungry anymore.
Yep.
So he is on, and we try to follow the team.
Yeah, cool. You see him kind of like cram down the last arm that he can find that's dismembered, and he kind of looks around the room, and there's probably about 3 bodies left. Some of them kind of half hanging off of the stands that were originally there, but the others just kind of like strewn about on the ground, broken boned and kind of ripped open from sword fight. You do realize that he's just kind of milling about now, like walking around the room, picking stuff up and putting it back down, and so you feel like he could continue from where you are.
So being back on, and we follow the team.
Cool. Yeah, so it doesn't take you much at the moment. You've kind of figured out how to control this creature at least a little for walking around. Well, not quite control, but perhaps persuade it to move in a certain direction. And the rations which you are kind of holding on to at the moment, slowly dwindling, do definitely work as a kind of incentive for the creature to, follow the direction that you've given the command. But you begin catching up, and Bell and Falcor, what are you guys doing?
I was actually following the team as well.
Yep. So you're just along, just behind them at the moment, probably just outside of the Grand Library. Beleaguer, you're doing much the same, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm kind of just because I've only just gotten my HP back.
Yep.
I don't want to go straight in there, so I'm just waiting for the others to check it.
That's quite wise of you, you squishy wizard. So you manage to make it to the doorway, and you can see that as Ko kind of pushes the door open and Davos brushes past, that there are just shelves and shelves and shelves of these books. All kinds of things could probably be told by these books, but where is everyone heading? What's the general idea of what's going on in here?
I'm going north, and I rolled a 12 on a perception check.
I rolled a 9.
A 9.
I want to. For perception, I rolled a 5.
Okay.
But I also would like the illusion section.
Okay, cool. So Davos, I'm just gonna not Davos. What's your name? Magnus? Magnus. I'm gonna go ahead and just put you somewhere that is where the illusion section is that you see. You kind of end up over here. Davos, you said you were walking north. You begin walking north, and by the time you get to the last set of bookshelves, you see that there's a whole heap of texts around here that are covered in like gold filigree, very, very fine leathers and things like this, and you look up and notice that it just says religious traditions, and there's just hundreds of texts along there. Like probably you see that the bookshelves begin to extend further into this room, and you can see that down to probably about halfway along these shelves there is some kind of like religious texts that begin to kind of reveal themselves, and you see that there's a whole heap of interesting stories about Ao, the original god that created the universe, and that he gave this to two deities that became the light and darkness of the worlds. And you begin skimming through things and trying to find the point where there's talk about the Dawn War, which is where Lathander actually attempted to recreate the pantheon of gods in his image. It gets really interesting there, and you begin head down just reading through a book. Sil, what was your role again, sorry?
What's that? Oh, I rolled a 9. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. So it's up to you where you'd like to head in here. You take a bit of a moment to try and figure out what's going on, but...
Yes, I pretty much just stroll straight down the nearest shelves. I mean, it extends further in, right? The way we walked in, we're looking straight down. We can't see all the way to the other side.
Yeah,
Or to where it goes.
It looks like it just continues from here. It's dim lit, but from where you are at the doorway, it looks like the bookshelves just continue to the west.
Yes, I walk straight down.
Yep.
As far as I can go in this moment.
Okay.
Just draw out my staff, just because I do that.
Nice.
And I'm a bit shaky.
Yeah, that's fair. So you've got your staff drawn and you're kind of walking. I'll say that you're walking. Oh, sorry. Let me just go ahead and I'll put you down here. You're kind of walking along this center, one that just leads out immediately from the doorway itself. And when you kind of begin to get to the edge of Magnus's light raven that is kind of sitting over his shoulder now as he's looking through some books on illusions, you notice that it begins to get quite dark. And while you can see relatively okay within these low light conditions, you continue looking, and it looks as though the area just continues down to a wall that is at the far end. The bookshelves are probably about maybe 10, 15 feet high, and you can't see over them, but occasionally there is small gaps that you can kind of see through. And as you begin getting sort of further along through this room, what's your passive perception?
What was that?
What's your passive perception? Yeah.
Passive perception? 15.
15. Cool. So you begin walking along, and at the point where you make it to about 2/3 of the way along, you can see. Oh, not that. Sorry. That bookshelf is just going to jump around a little. What I'm trying to grab is... That doesn't actually happen. But you get to about here, and when you look through the cracks to the south, you can see that it is not actually a reading area so much as a large table has been set up here, and there is a group of people standing around looking about at some things that are sitting on a table down there. Just give me half a second. For some reason, I have put the table on the wrong area.
Just so, we've just got feedback and they said that you've got two voices and Jordan has a bit of an echo.
Oh no! Okay, let me see what I can do about that. If I go ahead and put a single voice here... Are you guys able to hear me at the moment? Give us a thumbs up if you can.
Yes.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
My thumb is up, I just can't show you.
That's a good point. Let me just say... That's too good.
I think I just heard that crazy frog.
You hear the crazy frog coming from some of the tables. Oh, that's too funny. So in the south, you can see that there are these people that are kind of standing around a table and talking. It looks as though there is actually what would be like a mage and his apprentice that are standing on the left side over here. And then across on the other side, it's kind of blocked by bookshelves, but you can hear what seems to be a familiar voice there. Just give me half a second. I believe that somewhere in my notes... No, it's everywhere! I feel like fucking... You know that gif of... Kermit at the typewriter, where he's like, I feel like that right now. However,
There were the blast of days.
There were the blurst of times. I will get back to that, though. What you realise, Sil, is that this is someone from your past that has trained with you, one of the apprentices that you know from your earlier fighting days that would have taken a different path to yours. You know that they were learning under you, and that you were kind of you and one other who you know as Phalar were kind of the students that were higher up in the studies of your monk teachings. However, this voice that you hear is one of the people that you were helping to train, a young man, and I cannot remember his name because I have it in notes somewhere, but you do know this man's voice, and you remember helping him, and when in the past things went a little sour, you remember that he sided with Phalar.
You remember his name, so you do.
You do.
I certainly do. I have no one next to me to tell it to.
You're just like,
But,
that guy, that fucking guy. But you can
I sense that he wants to say so I can get something off his chest. Alright, yeah.
There's a voice that's
I can talk
out
to
of me right now, but I can't fucking remember it.
Yeah.
But yes, you realise the voice immediately, and it kind of just says, I believe that we were told that gold would be part of the deal. And the Arcanist that is opposite him is just kind of like, we did have gold, but we were unable to finance this. Books are kept very tightly around here, and this was something in particular that I was very interested in for reasons that you don't need to know, but this is something that I can offer. And you see him kind of just open his hand, and there's about 10 gems that kind of roll out onto the table. And at this point in time, what are you doing? You're kind of like looking through a set of bookshelves at the moment, head kind of obscured in a little bit of darkness, but you've just got this 5 feet of timber. Oh, well, not even 5 feet, probably about 2 or 3 feet of timber between you and this open space in front of you.
Is there a way around it?
Around as in...
As in to go around it to get to it?
Yeah, I mean, you can see on the far end of the room, like to the west, that there is a gap in the bookshelves that kind of ends so that people can walk along the ends of the shelves. And as you kind of begin to look around the corner here, you hear one of them kind of turn, and you just hear, "What was that?" And they begin looking towards the north of the room, and immediately you can see that Falcor has kind of come up beside you to join you.
Okay.
What's up, Sil?
Noisy, Falcor.
So what are you two doing?
I'm doing these ones. And then drop it in, if such a thing exists.
Dropping what?
I have a button for that. Stealth mode activated.
You kind of like crouch down and you're like,
So,
is this working?
can I would like to sort of close my eyes and try and feel the feeling that I felt earlier on.
Sure.
See if I can search it out at all.
Yep, so go ahead and roll
Isn't it?
Go ahead and roll a wisdom check for me.
Oh, I got 8.
8. It's not super difficult. You kind of have been tracking it since you initially picked it, and it's definitely sitting like around the corner from where you see it. You can see it at the moment, kind of behind this previous acquaintance of yours. I'm just going back through notes to see if I can find his name. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it, to give a name to an NPC?
Is it a name that I gave you?
Yes, it is.
Does it start with a K? Sound Italian.
It may have?
It's a Buttsworth.
What was the other one? I think there was
No.
perhaps one that started with a B,
There's-
but it wasn't Sir Buttsworth.
Does it start with B?
Yeah.
Because there is.
Yeah.
There is Bortolo.
It is Bortolo. That is him.
Bortolo.
Hey, Lou. So,
Yes, Belle.
There's still apparently echo with your mic.
Yep.
Just to give you the heads up.
Okay, thanks.
Because I know that you can't. No
Yeah.
worries.
I don't know that I'm going to be able to do much about that this evening. Are you guys able to hear me still at the moment?
It's a bit choppy.
Yeah, it's a bit choppy and a bit doubly, but...
Here we go. Now I can.
I
Yeah.
realize I don't have my video on, so I was doing my thumbs up, but you can't see anything anyway.
Okay, so just give me half a moment. Can you guys hear me still?
Yep.
I can
Yeah.
Yes.
Get a thumbs up. Cool. Let's see if that stops the Twitch echo. But for the minute, Sil, this is Bortolo,
Yes.
and he's kind of standing there. This kind of relatively short blonde hair that's been kind of like swayed to one side and pulled to a ponytail, like a very short ponytail at the back. And he is in similar similar robes to what you would usually wear, like the vestments that you usually have, but they're all kind of stained a very deep grey, like they're extremely dark. And he's wearing a belt amongst those that is kind of tied off to the side and has some stripes, like golden stripes along this grey belt. You
Jeez.
realise that each of the stripes kind of is denoting like a level of mastery of a certain aspect of his tradition. And he's kind of standing there now, just holding like the edge of his, like has his hand resting on his hip, and he's like just looks across the table as he kind of averts his gaze from where you and Falcor are, and he says, "Gems were never part of the deal. We were not dealing in gems. It was gold that we needed." And you see the Arcanist just kind of look back at him, and he's like, these are worth plenty gold. I mean, it would perhaps give at the markets you would be able to. And at that point, he's just like, it isn't that we don't have the opportunity to go to the markets. It's that we were avoiding going to the markets by coming to you. We could have gotten triple the price at the markets, but you said that you were interested in the object for gold. Not coin, gold. And at that point, the Arcanist kind of just like is standing there just looking around, and he begins looking about the room now, kind of a little bit reservedly, like, oh, what the fuck can I use around here? He looks like he's getting quite defensive. Beside Bortolo, you can see that there is two other people. One that kind of looks as though he is a trainee of some sort, just wearing a plain grey belt. And the other seems to be a relatively well-dressed and very attractive young lady. She would be in probably her mid-30s. And she is very fine-featured. And just roll a perception check for me, Sil.
Shotgun.
22.
22. You can see that everything about her is kind of near imperfection. Like there is some things where you're like, oh my god, she's beautiful, and then you begin looking and you see that no, that skin isn't quite as sort of unblemished as it could be, and it's kind of wrinkled in certain points. Or you see that like her hair, which looks extremely well pulled back and tied into a bow, is not exactly kind of as perfect as you would seem, and there's like bumps and like two weird bumps towards the back of her head. The clothes that she's wearing,
Judgy still.
yeah, he is. He's just judgy as fuck since he's met Bortolo. And
That son of a bitch.
son of a bitch. But yeah,
He threw off my cool.
you can see the three of them there, and she looks across the table at this point, and walks up behind Bartolo and puts her hand on his shoulder and just looks across the table, and she just says, "Now, you do have gold, I am certain, within the archives here. How about you go fetch some for us?" And the S kind of gets extended for a moment, and you see the Arcanist kind of pause, and he's looking across the table at her, and he just... "Right. Yes, of course, we will go get the gold. Jacobo." And he turns around to his apprentice, and just says, "Take these," and kind of gives him the handfuls of gems that were set on the table. Jacob's kind of just like, and he's like, "Do return them to my personal office. We will go get some gold." And you see both of them begin to walk up towards you, Sil.
Oh, jeez.
Can I yell out? Is it safe to go in?
Yeah, actually, maybe other guys should have a turn.
Because no one's actually said it's clear for anyone. So everyone's like, there's a couple of us just waiting at the door, waiting, and you guys have just like walked off, and we're like, oh, okay, well.
I'm going through. But so, Beliga, this has all kind of happened within about 2 minutes still. It's not taken very long for this exchange to occur. You have walked down here, begun to see what's going on, and Falcor kind of creeps up beside you, and you just go, shh. So both of you, I'll get to roll a stealth check right now, because you do not have the source on you. It's not a super high DC, but Falcor and Sil, go ahead and roll a stealth check.
14.
I got a 15.
Cool.
Plus 5, so 20.
Oh,
20.
Nice work. You take a knee, and you kind of pause, holding yourself extremely still against kind of the bookshelves that are amongst this area. And as you kind of sit here amongst the books, what is everyone else doing? I'm going to go ahead and get
I'm looking.
Oh, yep. Davos, what were you saying?
I'm looking for references of the fabled one.
Sure. Okay. So you will probably take a little while doing that, but you flip through say 2 or 3 of the texts noted by Lathander, and just roll a history check for me as using your intelligence to see what you find amongst these.
9 minus 1, 8.
8. There's no real reference to the fabled one as such, but you do see reference to a prophecy, and that there was something that was said to perhaps be coming in the future that would help with settling the balance between evil and good. Not so much chaos and law, but definitely good and evil. And the prophecy talks of a follower of the light that would spend their lives devoted to vanquishing evil and undoing the injustices of what would be gods like Baal and those within the hells, those within Asmodeus, and those within the hells such as the Demogorgon, and there's just reference to these extremely kind of lawful and chaotic evil creatures that seem to be the main opposition to the light that is provided by Lathander. So that's what
I don't read too much into that. Yeah, evil is bad. I should get rid of it.
Yep.
It's
kind of what you see. You're just ooh, evil creatures. Ooh. Oh yeah, so this prophecy says that we should get rid of evil. Yeah, someone's going to come along and do it. Yeah, cool. You close the book and sit it up on a shelf. And that probably takes you about maybe 10 minutes skimming through books. You don't really see much on the fabled one. Belle, what are you doing right now?
I'm still lingering, waiting for someone to kind of like do a hand gesture or something to say that it's okay, or
Cool. You can see, like, around the corner from where you are, that Magnus has his, like, raven crow sitting on one of the shelves, just, like, 10 feet to your right, if you're facing into the room.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, no one's really giving you a signal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Can I take
I stand
note?
there. I've been kind of loitering around.
Okay.
Alright, you go on. You go on if you want to, still.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, can I... What's his name? What's your name again, Chris?
Oh, Falcor.
Wait, oh my god.
His name is Balthor.
Falcor.
Falcor! Can I tell Falcor?
Yep.
Gather everyone who wants a fight. Or gather everyone who's prepared to fight. And meet me back at
Fight
this
for
point.
what? Fight for what?
Just go. And be silent about it.
I rolled 20. I'm feeling pretty confident.
Yeah, he kind of disappears back off into the shadows from where you are, Sil. You can't see him anymore after he is about 30 feet away.
Luke, while that was happening, with my reading, I was looking for, like, particular as I'm reading.
Yep.
One is any information, particularly anything I think might relate to my patron. Two is anything on memory magic.
Oh, sure. Okay, so within the illusions section, you don't really find anything on altering minds. There's not really much about the psyche or, memory wipe spells or anything like this, but you do find a few things that point to the Feywild. There's talk of satyrs and archfey that are kind of extreme illusionists to the point where they will create hallucinatory terrains that kind of trick creatures into thinking that they're walking through wondrous fields when really they are walking into the den of a horrible creature. And by the time that they make their way through the hallucinatory terrain, they kind of realize too late that all is lost. You know that there's things within the Feywild that are just extreme illusions themselves, such as time and space. Like, you could travel for a very long time in a certain direction, and you begin looking down this one book that is just about the Fey and illusions that can be found within the Feywild. You spend time, and there's a single reference to the Shade. And you begin reading. Just roll a history check here as you begin reading through this passage.
$17.
17. It's about 6 lines. You see, in this very elegant cursive, it just begins and it says, "Of the Shade, not much is to be mentioned. Both the courts, seelie and unseelie, are extremely wary of the Shade. Whilst creatures avoid, though some go towards, such as boggles and quicklings, not much is known of what lurks at its depth. Creatures come back, not knowing where they have been, what they have seen, or who they have encountered. Thus, the information I have found through interviews with small amounts of creature within the Fae that have come to the prime material has been," and then there's ... fruitless. Full stop.
Okay, I'm gonna chuck the book in my bag for further study later.
Cool. Just make a sleight of hand check.
$15.
15. Yep, no probs. You kind of just shove it in your pack. You're not really too worried about people at the moment. You can hear Falcor kind of walking around. Davos like up further in the archives. Ko, what are you doing currently? You kind of opened this door, and then everyone kind of just dispersed within the library. They seem to be scattered to the four winds.
It's a library, it's got books, so I'm really not interested in it. So I just kind of wander around, do a little bit of graffiti here and there because I can, especially in the anatomy books. I just graffiti some things and rude things.
Yeah, you kind of like open up this anatomy book, and it's got on one page like a man that is standing in like the Vitruvian Man pose, and kind of like the perfect ratios.
I draw a massive penis.
Yeah, there's a giant dong. You take out a small piece of charcoal from your bag, and you're just like, wiener. And,
Can you roll a d20 to see how good the dong is?
Oh, dude, roll a performance check.
Performance check.
15.
Oh, that's a pretty good dong. It's a real veiny motherfucker.
It's real big.
So, you finish graffitiing a couple of...
Like that scene in Superbad, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, you're just sitting there, just drawing a dick in a book.
And then I'm just kind of bored. And so then I just kind of like graffiti a few things here and there. And then I kind of still am bored. So I just start looking for like hidden traps to find gold.
Okay, cool. So you begin looking around for traps. You take a little bit of time.
And gold.
And gold. Roll an investigation check for me.
16.
Oh, cool. So you spend about 5 minutes drawing this amazing piece of graffiti within the book, and then you begin walking around the archive just trying to find anything. You find that a couple of times there's just like parchment that's got a couple of notes scrawled on it, as though someone's been writing something and then had to leave and left their equipment here. So there's like an ink pot and like a quill and like a couple of pieces of parchment that are rolled up. You begin walking along, and at one point you find a single like pouch that's been stuffed in behind a couple of books, and you can see that within it there is a feather, there is pieces of eggshell, there is some dust that you really don't know what it is. It's in like a little container, like a vial.
Is this witchcraft?
Sounds like shit loot.
Roll an insight check.
Sounds like every component for crappy spells.
Oh, -1. 17.
17. So Arcana check. Maybe it's stuff for wizards. They cast spells and use components for things like feathers, eggshells.
I take the feather out and I stick it in my hair.
Yeah, cool.
And it accidentally burns.
Yeah, it just singes immediately and like almost catches on fire. And just like...
Then I'm just like, shit!
I forgot, my head's on fire. And you kind of like just smell this terrible burning feather. But you kind of...
And I just go, who farted? And then I kind of look over to where everyone else is, and I just like...
You look around and there's no one standing near you. You're just like, who farted? And you like look up and down the hallway and you're just like... and just keep walking.
And then I start to think that it's probably ghosts following me, and then I get a bit paranoid.
Yeah, it was ghost.
But
cool. Thorax, at this point in time, you kind of see Ko walking out. There's a bit of smoke coming off of the top of, like, the back of her head, and she's walking out into the hall. And you're coming up with your froghemoth at the minute. So what are you doing?
Well, I'm fairly certain since Thorax Jr. takes after me so well that he would go in and immediately push those shells over like dominoes. And I'm not sure if that's particularly constructive, so I'm going to let him hang out here until it sounds like something goes wrong, in which case, dominoes.
Cool. Nice. Great. So, you're hanging outside with Ko. Falcor, what are you up to?
how's Falcor coming along?
I've kind of stealthily gone to the little area there and kind of said, "Hey guys, Syl wants us to, have a bit of a fight." And then go around the corner because obviously everyone can't hear and say, "Hey guys, Silk wants us to come and fight."
Guys.
And then I look to Gabby and to make said signal.
Thank you. So I start like I signal to whoever else is near me, which is probably no one. Thorax, are you in or are you making your way?
I'm chilling in the corridor because I don't want the shelves to domino just yet.
So I get anyway, and then I start making my way in.
I've also
And
posted
then
a signal there for everyone to see, which is quite nice.
Oh yeah, the red circle. And then I start kind of looking through the bookshelves. Actually, can I do an investigation check to see if there's anything of interest for me? Like if there are any spells, like on parchment or books that might be of interest?
Yeah, roll an investigation check.
So 19 and 3, so 22.
22. You happen to be walking past a section that is labelled elemental magics. And you kind of walk past and it gets into, it goes through fire, earth, there's like manipulating water, and it goes to ice.
All the boring stuff.
At the end it just says chill, and then the next section that leads on from this is necromancy. And you begin looking through and you see that.
Alright, so I'm going to make my way down there.
Yeah.
Which tends to be parallel to the other ones. The other two that are kind of looking in.
Yep.
But obviously I don't know because I've got a bookcase in front of me.
Yeah, it's right at the end of this aisle. But you look in front of you and there is a plethora of like books about necromancy. Like you could go ahead and spend months sitting here reading through these books. And each of the spines, mostly...
Can I do an Arcana check maybe then?
What are you trying to figure out?
If there's any that have any magical elements to it that might be of interest for a higher level wizard?
Sure.
Or any elements that might be embedded in stuff to...
Yep, so go ahead. I mean...
It's a 3 and 5, so 8. That was a really bad roll.
So it doesn't... Like, I mean, all of these books, like, the spines of them are leather, and some of them have, like, steel binds, but none of them have, like, 12th level necromancy book, like, inscribed on the spine of them. And you begin taking them off, and one of them talks about lichdom, and how to, like, fables of famous, like, quote-unquote famous liches through the ages that have become, like, demigods. There's, like, manipulating the undead. And it's a more allegorical tale of, like, the boy that didn't learn how to use raise dead properly, and ended up being killed by zombies. There's a couple of other things that seem to be anecdotal, but you do find that there is a text in here that looks to be quite interesting. There's a few spells that would perhaps interest you. You open it, and on the front page it says, The Malevolent Manuscripts of Cusanik. And this folio of parchments is kind of locked in a silver coffer. It's like a casing around a book, and that's the thing that first attracts you to it. You take a second and you kind of look at the book and like the locker that is around it, and you spend a minute like working this clasp that is extremely intricate. It's all kind of backwards, like opposite to what, like when you turn it one way that should tighten it, it loosens, and when you kind of like push against it, it like pushes back against you, and you kind of realize that to push the button in, you need to pull it back. And it's kind of weird and backwards, but eventually the top of it kind of clicks open, and you can see that inside there is just pages and pages of spells that have been inscribed onto parchment. You can see that there is a spell in there that's called Blink. You can see the spell Fireball. You can see Phantom Seed, Stinking Cloud, Water Breathing, Bestow Curse, and finally Animate Dead.
Sounds good to me. Is this book easy to conceal if I take it out with me?
It's not so much a book as it is like a steel case that's maybe, do you have your handy player's handbook right next to you? It's probably about like another quarter of the player's handbook long.
Okay.
And it's about 6 times the depth. Like, it's just a very, like a case to protect something.
Alright, can I rip out certain pages maybe? That's probably a better way of doing it.
Yeah, they're kind of just sat in there on parchment, so it's not so much that you'd be ripping them out, you'd just be rolling up these scrolls. So you could clear the whole thing out.
I take the ones of interest, so like the Animate Dead, and some of the other ones that might be of interest for necromancy higher levels, and then I just conceal it on my body.
So of the ones that I read out, so you've got Animate Dead, Bestow Curse, Blink, Fireball, Phantom Seed, Stinking Cloud, and Water Breathing. What are you taking?
Yeah, I try and do it in a rush because I'm gathering that we can't be here for hours on end. So I just take what I can.
Okay. I'll say that you grab them all because it's easy enough to roll up a whole heap of scrolls and stuff them in a backpack. So this actually takes you. You're going to end up. You'll end up being the last one that arrives at the group because you do kind of get sidetracked here. But the rest of you arrive back at Syl, and Syl, you can see that these two Arcanists are now walking directly towards you guys, like they're going to be on top of you in about 5 feet. And whilst you're stealth at the moment, and you feel like you're relatively well hidden, Magnus, Davos, Falcor, and Bell, I will need stealth checks from all of you if you're wanting to go ahead and stay hidden as these two people begin walking past you.
23.
I have disadvantage on all stealth checks because I'm wearing heavy armor.
Okay.
23.
Party time.
Sounds good.
I'm going to cast Mask of Many Faces just to look like one of the Arcanists I've seen throughout and just be looking at a book.
Okay, so
Also,
of the Arcanists that you've seen throughout, who are you disguising yourself as?
Acewith.
Acewith, cool.
also, just to let you know, I'm still too busy graffitiing books to notice what's going on.
Oh yeah. Oh, I thought you'd walk back outside because your mini is like outside of the library.
Oh, sorry, I didn't move my token.
Okay. So yeah. So I thought you were outside. So you're currently with Thorax outside of the library. I'd say that you finished inscribing the book with.
Where I put myself just now.
Okay. So you're up there. Thorax, you're currently in the hallway on your own, but you're waiting to go ahead and play dominoes.
Correct.
If necessary.
I'm basically teaching him to stick a bunch of tentacles out on either side so I can stand him in the middle of the bookcases and domino outwards. It's not going very well.
Cool. It's probably, it's a bit difficult. Like, you even reaching, like, you're used to tapping a nerve and, like, getting that tentacle to move, but, like, trying to reach across both sides of this giant beast's shoulders and, like, hit the nerve at the same time. You've got one foot on his left shoulder and your right hand on his right shoulder, and you're, like, reaching across as much as possible. And it's not quite working at the moment. But you're working on it, man. You're working on it. It's getting good. At this point, so Falcor, you had a 23. Davos, what was your roll?
With disadvantage, 10.
10. Bell, what was your roll for stealth?
8.
8. Okay. And Magnus, you took these 6 seconds to cast Mask of Many Faces.
Yep, so I've Mask of Many Faces into Ace with.
Okay, cool. And I think that's it. Okay, so at this point in time, you see both of the Arcanists kind of walk past, and they begin walking immediately past you. So you can see that they take a couple of steps, and it almost seems like they're past, like they're not going to disrupt you guys. They kind of stop about
Yes.
5 feet after the end of the bookshelves. If I can move them without destroying the rest of the world, that would be lovely. If I get these guys. There we go. Okay.
Just like the other room, they're all alive.
Everything's alive. Fight Disney again. You can see they move up to that point there and begin to kind of make their way northwards still. And you see that Jacob, the apprentice, begins to kind of stop, and he turns to his right and he says, "Sir, just wait for a moment." And he looks across to the right. He's just like, "What?" And looks down at you still, and he's like, what are you doing here?" And he kind of looks up and notices that there's like a few of you here. He's like, I didn't know anyone was coming into the archives today. And he looks back to the master, and he's just like, "Master Killware."
Make them steal their clothes.
What?
Wait, what?
Where are the janitors now?
What?
Okay, what did you say, Dallas?
No.
You cut
No,
out
I
the-
said take their clothes and then become the janitors.
Oh, so you just like outright tackle them?
No. That was a joke.
Get him!
Oh, okay. Right.
Okay,
Okay, so
can I
what-
step forward to Jacob?
Sure thing. In all reality, this is what's happening. So, Magnus, what are you doing?
So I step forward and I do my best weird, misty voice guy's impression, and I'm just sort of like, "Oh, hello. Arcanist Stefan bid me show them the archives."
Okay, roll a perception check for me.
Don't you mean deception?
That's a good point. I did mean deception. Thank you, Beck.
Never ever
That-
correct the DM. Never ever.
That was a natural 20. I'm very
Hey.
good at deception.
Nice. Doesn't matter how good you are.
Sorry, it didn't
natural 20
happen.
works pretty well. So, at this point, he kind of
You
looks up
can't
and
touch
he's
the
like,
die.
you see Jacob look up and he's just like, "Aeswith, sure, I don't mean to impede, it's just that we were on our way out. Anyway, we should probably continue, shouldn't we, Master?" And he looks back towards the Master, and he looks up and he's like, "Yes. You said that. Who said you?"
What was that?
You
said
cut out there,
who
Luke.
said- Sorry, I cut out. You guys can hear me
You
again?
kind of sounded like an old man rambling.
Cool. Okay, so he looks back to you after Jacob is like, we were just leaving, weren't we, sir?" And he looks to you, Magnus, and he just says, Who did you say sent you again?"
Stefan.
"Stefan, I haven't seen him leave his room in many. Right. Well, as you were." It just begins marching north, and they seem to be roll an insight check.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, with my knowledge of like charms and mind-addled magic, would I have ideas? So if it's insight, that is a 4.
A 4. Yeah, he looks to be pretty keen to get out of here. You're not sure what is going on, but he seemed to have some kind of hurry to him. But yeah, he's on his way out. And by the time you kind of realize that, you've managed to like dodge a bullet in this encounter, and you're like, oh god, I don't have to talk like a weirdo anymore. That's great. He's gone. They've just made their way to the north of the room and seem to be, disappeared. They make their way through the doorway that's in the north.
I'm gonna guy, but I'm also just gonna like summon my pact blade and hold it next to me and just sort of look to Syl and be like.
So who is left in around the table there where they were talking?
You can see that Boltolo, this younger woman, and a female that looks like an apprentice of some sort is standing about. And they seem to be in hushed tones, just kind of like huddled together, talking back and forth.
Yes. Does any of the party have a like hooded cloak at all?
I do, but it's bright red.
Everybody has cloaks.
Wait, like one with a hood?
I have one.
Who's got like a cloak?
You know
You'll have to come and get me.
So,
Because I'm still wearing.
Well, who's next to me that has a cloak?
I'd say that...
Hold on. I got this.
Yep.
I cast Minor Illusion over him to give him a cloak.
Yeah, cool.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So you cast a minor
Quite
illusion.
covered up here.
And what does it look like, Magnus? Like this cloak as you begin to cast it over, like Syl. Give us a bit of thematics here. I want to know what it looks like as you cast the cloak over him.
So it's black. It's very like there's nothing flashy about it. It just sort of wraps around and just looks like something that someone would wear while traveling. Pretty modest traveling cloak, but with a very deep hood, so it hides his features.
Yeah, cool. So it's almost like a cowl that wraps around his face a little, but probably like still exposes like the majority of it. It just sits a little bit lower. Cool. So you begin casting this, and it kind of like holds. How long does minor illusion last for?
This is a very good question. And the answer to that question is 1 minute.
1 minute. Cool.
Clock's ticking.
Okay, so it finishes casting, and Magnus looks up at you and he just says, "It'll work for a while."
What did he say?
It'll work for a short while. You have to quick.
Okay. I whisper to the group. I'm going to go out there now. If it goes south, do you have my back?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You got it, man.
Stay here. There is what am I saying? There is an old nemesis of mine. Out in that room. Best of luck to me. Whoa. And then I get up and I walk around that corner with the illusion over me.
Fantastic. So you're kind of almost a bit shrouded in darkness as you walk around the corner here, and you begin like slowly walking across towards the table, and it doesn't take long, probably about 10-15 feet after you've walked past the bookshelf, and you're maybe 30-40 feet away from them. The apprentice looks up and she's just like taps Bortolo on the shoulder, and he's just like points over his shoulder, and he turns around and looks, and he's just like, do you mind? We're trying to have a private conversation here.
So, at this point, I'd like to pull out my bag of coins, the gold that I have.
Yep. Sure thing.
Yep. And I'd like to hold that out. How far away am I from them?
I'm going to go ahead and put you... Let's see. Nope, that's bookshelf. I need the Syl. There he is. I'm going to say you're about there. At the moment, you're 25-ish feet away. And Boltolo is this guy here. And
Yes.
you can see that the rather gorgeous woman is standing there, and the apprentice is over here.
Okay.
So Bartolo's kind of looked at you and he's just like, go on. Out of here. Do I need to say it again?
So-
We're trying to have a private conversation. Could you please leave us?
So I would like to throw my bag of gold that currently holds. What would it be? Let's say 80 gold in it,
Okay.
just to land, aim it to land sort of at their feet.
Yep. And he's like, what is this? I'm not a charity case.
I would like to say for the artifact.
Alright, roll a performance check. Are you trying to like hide your voice, or are you...
Yes,
just
yeah,
saying
I'm
this?
trying to sort of muffle my voice a little bit. I
Okay.
just have lost my phone device. So
Alright.
for the artifact. Kind of like Batman.
Give me that! Rabble, rabble, rabble.
Yes.
Okay. So roll your performance check for me, and let me know what it is.
For going for performance or deception?
Yeah, roll deception. Roll deception. You can choose either.
That would be a whole lot of 11.
11. It's not bad. You kind of obscure your voice enough that, it wouldn't be familiar to someone. He looks and he's just like, I honestly do not know what you're talking about. Artifacts, I'm just here reading. I am not exactly interested in trade. Who are you? What are you doing here? Why? Were you listening to us just now?
Nice try, Jordan.
This has definitely gone south.
Is that the sign to jump in?
No, I take this moment to turn on my heel.
Yep.
And to walk back to the shelf.
Okay, so Gold's sitting at his feet. You kind of like just begin walking back, and he's just like, you begin walking back, and he's just like, mad kook. Thanks for the donation, I suppose. And kind of picks up. You can hear the gold being picked up, and he's just like,
There goes your
Yes.
money.
Imperial.
Spray it,
can-
then spray it.
Can I throw
just,
something here, guys?
One second.
Yep.
1 second. You hear him pick up the gold, and he kind of opens it up and just picks up the coin, and he's like, useless Imperial coin. It's not going to be any good. And tightens the bag and sits it on the table. And he just begins turning back around to talk to the people that are amassed with him.
Oh, damn.
Okay. I've got an idea here, which could go even further south than your idea.
I like it.
I like it.
Okay, so I'm going to shift my mask
I
of
like my
many
chances.
faces to not Jacob, but the other guy.
Yep.
The main wizard guy. So I'm going to shift my mask to him.
Okay, so that's just a bonus action or something?
I think so.
Because the main thing I want to check is just time on that as well. How long you're... Is it disguise self?
Yeah, it is disguise self.
Okay.
Just let me check here. Disguise self. It's one action.
One action? Okay. Yeah, that's no problems. And then disguise self lasts for... Disguise self for 1 hour, so that's fine. You're totally cool. There is no problem. So you use your action to change to the archivist that just walked past, and yeah, it works. You're standing there in the same robes, same kind of well-kept beard, and you kind of have this weird...
I stroke it.
Weird kind of hat on, and you go to stroke it, and your hand kind of just grabs nothing. It looks perfectly like you're stroking your beard, but you're not grabbing anything. You're just like, damn it, damn. Oh well.
Okay, so now I'm going to first say to everyone else, okay, this could go south real quick as well. So if it does, be ready to act.
Okay.
And then I walk around the corner.
So Sil, you at the moment are just coming back to the bookshelves. You're about 5 feet away when this wizard that you just saw walk past comes around the corner and is looking you directly down.
Right. Okay.
Well,
I continue. Ooh, what do I do?
Can I
guess he's looking me dead in the eyes. I look him dead in the eyes.
And
what do I see?
I'm still holding my packed blade, so I vanish it and then I wink.
Ah.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, I know where I got this cloak from, so yeah.
Cool.
I'm just gonna sort of walk past him next to the bookshelf. Stand there.
Cool.
See what happens.
And then I'm gonna go around.
Okay. So you make your way around the corner, and what are you doing? You kind of turn around, and one of them has been watching Sil walk away, and as he kind of finishes walking around the corner, you appear and come out of that same area, and they're just you see the apprentice again just taps Boltolo on the shoulder, and he's just pointing back, and you see Boltolo turn around, and he's just like, "What do you want? Oh, you were quick. What? You see him kind of looking at you for a second, and he's like, "So what did you find?"
Did my associate bring you the gold?
You've not been gone for 30 seconds. I'm certain he hasn't brought any gold.
The hall.
Who are you? And you see the three of them begin walking from where they were stood across this kind of open space towards you. And you can see...
How far away from them how far away from me are they?
Okay, so you've walked around the corner and you've barely gotten 10 feet. At this point in time, you can see that they're about... I'll place them in the room so that you can see where they are. And that'll be probably the easiest for you to notice. There we go. So that's where they are.
And did you say that they're approaching me?
Yeah, they're beginning to walk towards you quite slowly, not at any speed. They're just walking as though they're about to kind of come up to you and figure out, to a distance where you can converse. They're just like, "You were oddly quick. I'm certain."
Okay, I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for them to get within 10 feet of me, and I'm going to cast Fey Presence.
Okay, cool. So they just continue kind of walking towards you, and you see that Boltolo kind of gets about 15 feet from you. The apprentice kind of gets about the same distance, and this woman kind of stands and just sort of rests, rolls. Okay, so she rests her hand on Boltolo's shoulder, and she's just like, "I wonder who this man could be. Who are you, silly man?"
Okay, so I'm going to come a little bit closer. I'm going to come, but non-threateningly, just walking up like I want to have...
Cool. And
then when...
Okay, so before that happens, as she finishes speaking and you begin stepping forward, please roll a wisdom saving throw.
So she gets her magic before I get my magic.
That's how it works, man.
Uh, 16.
You lucky son of a gun. At this point in time, you feel something wash over you, and you just like, you kind of feel compelled towards her for a second, and you're just like, my goodness, you're gorgeous. And like, you would do anything for this woman. Anything that she said, you would be happy to like follow to the best of your ability. And you kind of begin walking towards her, and then you pause, and you're just like, I know what you're doing, you bitch. And then it kind of clicks with you as you take that step, and they're both, all three of them are within 15 feet of you. So what would you like to do? Within 10 feet.
Well,
sorry.
I'm gonna cast Fey presence.
Okay.
So
Cool.
everyone in 10 feet of me needs to save. I think it's wisdom, but just let me check.
Okay.
Okay. Let me find this. It's a class feature.
Yep.
Fey presence. So they need to make a wisdom save.
Of your DC?
Yep, and my DC is. My DC is. 13.
13, okay.
13. My DC is 13.
Cool. So, you see that the apprentice begins to kind of, what are you doing?
So I don't want to frighten them. I want to charm them.
You want to charm them. Cool. So, what are you saying?
Yeah. So what I am saying
You're the same
is-
thing. You're attractive.
Well, anyone that's charmed by me is just sort of going to. I want them to, instead of like flanking her, flank me. Or if she wants to be charmed too, she can also flank me.
Okay, so at this point in time, the apprentice kind of looks at you and is just like, I don't know who this is, but yeah, I mean, he's alright, man. And he looks over at Bartolo and he's just like, why are you such a dick sometimes, man? And Bartolo kind of just like steps forward, cracks him across the face with a backhand that would put down a better person. And at this point in time, I believe when they take damage, they get to re-roll their save.
Let me check. Where are you? It doesn't say.
Okay, so let me just double check something. So it's charm person.
I think that might be sleep.
It says that they're charmed or frightened until the end of my next turn.
So you have to look up charmed then.
So
I think it's only if I attack them. I think it's only if
yeah,
someone
charmed
like that they think is
regards
friendly
you as a
attacks them.
friendly acquaintance. So yeah, so no reroll on the save, but you see that backhand would have hurt. You see that he takes a little bit of damage as that occurs, but doesn't seem to faze him too much. He's kind of just like red faced for a second, and he's kind of like, see, it's shit like this, man. Why are you? I listen and I pay attention, and all you do is just knock me around. There's no reason. I can't do the shit that you can do yet, and it's just. And he's just like spilling his heart out as though there's like some, thing that's being lifted, and he's just like, you're a fucking dick, man. And like that charm has kind of allowed you to, persuade him slightly towards you. But you see Bartolo just like, what is like his reaction is like, what is this insolence? This guy, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like, there's no end for what will occur to you after we are out of here. And at that point, Bartolo kind of like looks back at you and he's just like, "You will leave now. You're going to turn around and leave whoever the fuck you are, and I don't care what happens after that, but you are not annoying me any further today. Do you understand?"
Can I say to the charmed guy, your friend's kind of a dick. Maybe you should hit him back.
And he's like, at this point in time, as you turn and say, "Your friend's kind of a dick, maybe you should hit him back," you see that there is just whiteness crosses your vision for a second as there is just fists pummeling you. You are going to
no.
hit
What have I done?
by... let's see here. What could be interesting? Go ahead, and as this hits you, you see his first punch land right across your face, and that is going to be 5 bludgeoning damage as it hits. And go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw for me.
My save is 19.
19? Cool. The second attack is going to be a 19 to hit.
Oh yeah, that hits.
Cool. And that's going to be, 11 bludgeoning damage, and make a dexterity... 11 bludgeoning. Yep. Make a dexterity saving throw.
Oh man, he's doing what I want to do.
That one's a 5.
That's a 5. So you fall prone, and at this point in time, as you fall, he like is raising his fist, and he's just like, "You're not even worth it, man. You're not worth my time." And he kind of just spits down on you. And he's like, "Come on, let's get the fuck
that's
out of
it.
here."
That's
and-
it. I've seen this, yeah?
You know what? Fuck him. Hellish Rebuke.
Oh,
Okay, Hellish Rebuke. So what's the save?
It's a dex save.
Okie dokie. So what's your DC?
13.
Okay, so he rolls an 18. So he succeeds on the save.
Of course.
Is it half damage? Or?
It was 16, so that's 8 fire damage.
Okay, so he takes a little bit of damage as that happens. And you see this...
Cool.
Yep.
I was going to say I want to then use a bonus to Misty Step back to the others.
Okay, so being that you're kind of beaten, a bit bloodied, and prone, it takes a second, and you're kind of laying on the ground, and you're just like, shit. And after you cast this Hellish Rebuke, he turns back and actually finishes that third strike. He's going to go ahead, and while you're prone, he has advantage, which is good because one of those was a 1, and the other is going to be a 14 to hit.
Yeah, that hits.
Okay, so the final hit is going to be 5 bludgeoning damage, and go ahead and roll another Constitution saving throw.
19.
19, cool. So you're still like kind of beaten on the ground, you're just laying there at the moment, and then you cast Misty Step and disappear. You're just gone. And you see you can hear from the other side of the shelves, or wherever you transported to. I'm just going to see you up next to Falcor here. You disappear, kind of reappear in that space, and you can hear Bartolo, and he's just like, "We've got to get out, guys. We have to leave now. It's probably best to come back. Inconvenience is better than losing everything that we have worked for." And you hear the lady and the apprentice kind of standing there. The apprentice kind of thinks for a minute. And then you look up Magnus, and you can see through the books that he's kind of like holding the side of his face. And he's just like, Right. And begins to, like after looking around for a second, begins to follow, and they begin disappearing down one of the bookshelves, one of the sets of bookshelves, and
Oh man,
go out of sight.
was there anything left on the table?
You can see that as they
Like-
walked away,
Did-
quite coincidentally, your money pouch has been left behind. It is sitting on the table.
Okay, that's good. But they didn't leave anything else. It was just them standing up there.
If you want to go across and have a look, that's entirely fine.
Oh, I was actually wondering where they're going, where they've gone.
Yeah, so they begin heading east, and they
Okay.
they head off in this direction, and then they kind of have disappeared from where you guys can see. So I'm going to go ahead and they
Son
are
of a
now.
bitch.
So yeah, you see them kind of
Well, if
head off
they've
to the
gone east,
and they've gone.
man, that's towards our froghemoth and his noble rider. I think.
This will end well.
Yeah, I'm going east, man. I'm just gonna go to try and get to the end of the bookshelf
Cool.
and see where they are when I get there.
In case anyone cares,
Yeah,
I'm
mate.
fine, by the way.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my
I
revenge.
care.
Yeah.
Magnus, you kind of like begin counting your teeth, and you're like, one's kind of wobbly, and you're like, oh, fuck. And you begin going across, and you notice that like under one of your eyes, you've been cut. It's just split your skin against like the bone under your cheek. Like your skin between the bone and cheek has been just ruptured. You're kind of like, oh, fuck, more scars. You begin just like assessing yourself. You're like, oh, that fucking hurt. And continue.
That's what I get for having traveling companions.
Yeah.
I say, Magnus, you better hold back for this one.
Cool, and I'm chugging a healing potion.
Oh, cool. So 2d4 plus 4 to get your health back, and yeah, you chuck it down. So you begin walking along. What are you guys doing? Are you trying to be stealthy? Are you looking for things? Are you what's going on?
Try
how-
to be stealthy.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure, why not?
Okay. So if I'll say that you and Davos are on point, so you're trying to be a bit stealthy about what's going on, and you set the pace. So Davos, Syl, Falcor, Magnus, Bell. By this time, you would have joined them, and Magnus kind of pops back and is just bloodied and kind of pretty beaten. And you begin following the rest of them. So the 5 of you, if I can get a stealth roll, please. Ko, what are you doing right now?
15 on stealth.
18 and
7.
3.
Oh,
15,
13.
7.
6.
yeah, I got 7.
But I'm also like gonna drop the wizard guy and just look like.
Just look like yourself. Yep. And Belle, what was your roll again, sorry?
I got 21.
21. Okay. So, yeah, you begin walking along this hallway of books, but you're not sure whether you're hurt or not. Ko.
Can I, like the bookshelves floor to ceiling, or is there room at the top?
There's room at the top. Like, you'd have to climb them, but it's not super difficult.
I'll climb up the bookshelves, and then I kind of sneakily jump from bookshelf to bookshelf till I'm near.
Okay, so what direction are you heading in?
Towards them, sort of south.
So you have no idea if they're southwest, east, like, where are you going?
Well, I get on top of the bookshelf and I can hear them, obviously.
Roll a perception check.
17.
17. Yeah, there's a bit of noise going on, and it sounds like definitely to the south, southwest. Not really being super like quiet about their movement around the place here. you're able to like see them quite quickly, and you see even that there's a small amount of like glow, like as they move along. So you head towards them. Just make a single acrobatics check for me as you begin jumping across the top of bookshelves. Like the bookshelves are very heavy and sturdy, but just make an acrobatics check so you don't fall 15 feet.
22.
22, cool, easy enough. And as you kind of arrive, what do? You like drop down on them, or?
I kind of crouch over the bookshelves like Spider-Man, just like, and I try to just watch for a bit to see who's who and what's going on, if they need help, and if I need to get the jump on someone.
Cool. You can see everyone's kind of walking back to the east, and Magnus is kind of being, propped up a little by Belle, and they're at the back of the group, and it looks like Davos.
Does he look okay?
Nah, he looks beaten to shit. Like,
I throw down a healing potion, and I'm just like...
So you throw it down. Magnus, you see a healing potion drop immediately in front of you, and then just smashes on the ground in front of you. Kind of like just across the floor, this shattered glass and like a whole heap of potion just like laying out, and you look up and you can see like the glowing outline of the fire genasi that is Ko, and she's just like kind of shrugging at you, and she's like, "Nice catch."
You gotta give him that.
I said think quick!
I appreciate the thought. Thank you, Ko.
You didn't say a single...
Lick it off the ground! Lick it off the ground!
It'll be fine.
He gets more cuts on all his hands and stuff.
I'm not licking a potion off the ground. I'm not.
It's called doing a Zamboni.
It's like, I'm too beautiful for this.
You can't get cut because you just get healed doing it.
But yeah, so mark a healing
It's
potion
like,
off.
even when I'm all bloody, I'm too gorgeous
I
for
never
this.
said I was a good decision maker.
So go mark a healing potion off of your inventory. It is gone. And you kind of continue along. But as you drop this healing potion and you hear kind of smashes, you hear muffled kind of voices for a second from the south. Then absolutely nothing.
Those sneaky bastards.
I kind of just go, oops.
Okay. I race to the door.
Okay.
I follow.
Good.
I said, and because it's been a smash, screw all pretense of stealth. I'm getting to that door. How far away is it?
You make it there within about, 10 seconds. You make it there. You just, against the eastern door, you're just like, done. Don't need to
Have
worry
I
about it
seen anything there?
Roll a perception check for me, and Davos, you can assist, so...
Certainly.
Get a perception check from both of you.
Okay, well I got 8.
14.
14? Cool. So Davos and Sil, both of you look around, and you can't see anything. You kind of look, you notice that there's a whole heap, like huge amounts of shadow in the south area of the, like bookshelves, and like there's that reading room that's kind of to the south of where you are that is just like you didn't notice how dark it was before, and it kind
Dark
of
vision,
like,
by the way.
Yep.
Oh, bugger.
So you kind of see that as you look across, it's dark. It is very dark. And still, it kind of grabs you for a second. You're like, I didn't realize that was so dark. Fuck. And you kind of like back up into the doorway where there's 2 sconces, and you're like, firelight, good. Okay. And
Yes.
at this point in time, I'm sure everyone else is kind of coming up to where you are, and not being super stealthy about it, but you all make it across to the eastern doorway of the archives, of the main library. So what are you doing?
I'm readying my weapon.
Okay, so
And
Davos is drawing his weapon.
So everyone's kind of around me now, roughly?
Yeah, I'd say so. No one's moving their tokens, but it looks like everyone. I'm saying from a story point of view that everyone has made their way back, unless something else is going on.
Yes. Well, I'd like to take this moment to scream at the top of my lungs. Bartolo! Show yourself! Like, really loud. I can't scream it because I'll wake people up here.
That's alright. That's cool.
But just know that
No, be in character, damn it. Be in character.
Come on, I want some grade A acting.
Bartolo!
Bartolo! But yeah, you scream it out, and it's just like kind of rings off the walls for a second, like echoes back at you out of the darkness, and you can just hear like the smallest amount of noise that's just like doesn't seem to have any direction. It's like as though it has been created in this sphere around you, just and then
Jesus.
it dissipates, just gone.
Oh, man. What just happened? Where is this coward? You were a coward, you always were a coward, and you'll always be a coward. And I scream that too.
Cool. So you just keep yelling out, you're just like furious into this void. There's nothing, just no response at all.
You were born a street rat, you'll die a street rat, and only your fleas will mourn you.
Yeah, I'm basically Jafar.
I love it. I love it.
Just channeling some Jafar right there.
You do have the beard.
Who's our Iago?
Who's Yago? Okay, so
Transform into animals.
Yeah.
Yes.
at the
So
moment,
nothing
it
happens. I've
appears-
screamed and nothing's happened.
Okay.
I say, I'll like sort of limp over to Syl with the lip and say, "I'm sorry, Syl. If it makes you feel any better, I lit him on fire."
Alright, I embrace him tenderly
Aw.
so I don't crush his
Aw.
wounded face.
Good. Thank you for the disclaimer.
Rub his
And-
face on your elven nipples.
Maybe later, but for now, I'm just very
That's for
appreciative.
private.
I'm appreciative that he burnt my friend, my old friend, who is now my enemy. Yes. So I kind of give you a crazy look in the eyes, but like a hug. Like, yes, that was good.
Well, I appreciate the hug.
Yep. So I just want to look around, see where these guys are. I'm starting to get over this fear now, and I just want to find them.
Cool. So go ahead and let me know what direction you're heading as you begin trying to find them.
Well, I wanted to take a peek down a few of the bookshelves that I anticipate they would have run down, the ones parallel to the south of us,
Okay,
but
cool.
they would have run east along.
Cool. So as you begin heading south, go ahead and roll a perception check.
Yes. 12.
You pass the first aisle of books, and the darkness kind of grabs the about 2/3 of the way down, and it doesn't look like anyone's there. And you pass the second row, and it looks like it's just the same thing. All the books were there that were there before. No movement, no kind of sound. And you kind of get to the final area near the end of the hall, and it's dark. Like the candlelight on the walls is obscured. It is very dark.
But I don't see anything. Like, I'm just like, man, it's just dark.
Yeah, it just looks like an extremely dark room.
Okay, in frustration, I'm just grabbing 2 darts and just throwing them at random angles. Like, just like that I'm pissed that I believe that I've lost them.
Cool.
Just,
So
into
roll,
the direction of that room.
roll 2 attacks with disadvantage because you're just throwing them.
Okay, first attack is, what's that? 17?
With disadvantage?
Second, yeah, with disadvantage.
Okay.
This is I've saved all my good rolls for this moment.
Right now.
And the other attack is 21 total.
21 with disadvantage.
Yeah, as in like you roll 2 dice, but you add your attack bonus to them.
No,
The
so
lowest
and you
roll-
pick the
roll
lowest
2 die.
number.
Yeah, so roll 2 die and take the lowest
Yeah.
number.
Correct.
And then
And do you add your attack bonus to that?
Yep.
Yeah, literally that was what I got. I have a
so-
massive attack
Oh my
bonus
God.
though, by the way.
Cool. So 17 and a 21. You kind of just like fling them into the room at random directions. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, pretty much just into the distance away from me.
Okay. Into the distance away from you. So that is
So
going to
like southwest kind of southwesterly
yeah, so that's where they go.
roughly.
You see that one kind of lands, like disappears into the darkness and knocks a candle off the wall. And the second one just disappears entirely. And you almost hear...
Oh Jesus.
Roll a perception check.
Oh, we're back to the shitty rolls. I got a 1.
It doesn't, like, hit the ground.
That's weird. That's
True like
weird,
a
it didn't
girl.
hit the ground. Yeah. I'm confused. Get over here. Shine. Where's Davos? Shine me some of that holy light.
I don't have holy light, but
Oh.
Magnus does.
Oh man, I thought your shield could beam and stuff.
That was when other people cast stuff on it.
That's Captain
Oh
America.
man. All right. Well, I'm not very magic savvy, so that's
Okay.
my honest belief. But I just want
Okay,
someone to
I,
shine some light.
I'll
Okay,
cast
Bill or
dancing
Magnus.
lights. I'll cast dancing lights. I'm not going to raven them this time. I'm just going to throw them throughout, like one going further than the other, so that they light up as much as I can.
Okay, so you're in here with them?
Okay.
Because we were hugging.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'm using the roll 20 as like reference for where everyone is.
Sorry, I
Yeah,
hadn't.
movie dude.
That's alright. I just looked up and you were outside in the hall and I'm like, what? You
So
wouldn't have any
yeah,
idea
I've
what's going on.
thrown the dancing lights, like each going a bit further than the other.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So kind of like you're putting one here, and one like further into the room.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so you throw them in there. The first one kind of illuminates you guys and a little bit of light around it, but it seems like there's still some kind of dark. Just roll an Arcana check for me, Magnus.
My Arcana is that's an 11.
11. Yeah, I mean it's dark in here, and your eyes are kind of adjusting to the light that you just cast. But yeah, it's still like you think you're still just adjusting to the light. And the second one goes, seems like it's almost a little bit dimmer, and then the third kind of barely illuminates. It just kind of like you can see the outline of this dancing light, where usually it's like looking at an extremely bright light where you can't see the definition around this orb. You can see at the moment that there is definitely like an orb there, and there's like an is it an aurora that's kind of like around the outside of it that is kind of glowing, but it doesn't seem to be shedding light as such.
Question.
Yes.
Do my dancing lights cut through magical darkness the way a light spell does?
You do not think so.
Okay, Beliga,
Yeah.
I think we might need some of your light here, please.
All right. So what I'll do is I'll put it. Would you like me to put it on yours so you can, when you walk around, you can see, or would you like it in somewhere in the center of the room, or?
Okay,
Why
Syl,
don't you illuminate
Put it on me.
Davos's shield?
Syl, as this
Alright,
is going
done.
on,
Yes.
you can hear movement much further down the hall, like way to the west, that is heading north.
Oh.
and as you kind of look up,
there's
you just see like the smallest amount of movement past one of the bookshelves, but at extremely high speed. Just
heading north.
Yep.
Those sons of bitches. I'm going west.
okay, so you begin running. The way that we're going to do this here is because Syl, you've just darted off. Everyone will be probably 2 rounds behind, but what I'm going to do is have a skill check here for
Okay.
you, Syl, against whatever you're chasing. And what I'm going to do is, first of all, go ahead and roll a dexterity check for me. And this is, you're just at full pace, you're just running right now. You're trying to get through your 90 feet of movement, pretty much.
14.
14? Okay, and that's 14 total for your dex.
14 total for my dex.
Cool. Okay. So you get to the end of the bookshelves into this slightly open space and begin rounding the corner. And we'll go ahead this time. Just make a constitution check. You're like full sprint, just like head down, going. Just see that you don't give out after the rest of the endurance that you've had to, the things that you've had to endure while you've been within the archives here. So, constitution check.
That's 20 total.
20 total, very good. And at this point, you can see that way up in the distance, near the top of the room, where there is actually a doorway that you can see that they are actually moving. It looks like a doorway is being shut, and you're about 4 or 5 shelves along that doorway. What are you doing right now?
Right now?
Yep. Still just sprinting.
Is Ko near me? Do I see Ko nearby, perhaps?
Ko, where have you been? You kind of
Actually,
headed to the door, and we haven't.
I guess I've gone for a sprint, so I just scream. Yeah, I'm just still screaming Bortolo like crazy, man.
Yep. Just
Bortolo!
And just like sprinting along. You get to the doorway, and it has been closed. What are you doing? Just barging through?
Actually, no, I'm just barging. Oh, sorry. Yeah, is it working now?
Yep, much better.
Oh, good. I'm just kind of like running towards the door and smashing into it.
Okay, cool. So as you run, you just like bail through.
Should open it.
You initially, as you run into the door, you take a little bit of damage, just like shoulder down. Actually, make a strength check for me, and we'll see what happens there.
7.
7. Not grand. You take 2 bludgeoning damage as you hit the door, and the door hits back. It doesn't seem to crack off the hinges. You hear like a bit of a really loud bang of stone against the door, and it kind of like rattles for a second, but it doesn't seem to budge. But at this point in time, you can see that the door's been pulled shut almost beyond where it should close. You can see on the inside of the door jamb that the point where the bolt would sink into the stonework is exposed on this side of the door, and it looks like the door has just been pulled further shut than it should have with the handle open, so it's kind of stuck at the moment. You notice that you almost pushed it like further into that position, so you're trying to wrench it open. Go ahead and roll a strength check as you try to pull the door back towards you. Uh-oh. Am I still working? Oh shit. Oh shit. No!
Sorry, he's unconscious, but the snake lady's dead, and so is the guy charmed.
Oh my god! What?
Now you may question him, and he tells you everything you need to know.
So I got a
Which is
17.
what, Magnus? Which is what? Okay, so you got a
You had
17.
nothing.
You begin pulling against the door, just like as hard as you can, and it begins to come back slightly. Continues, but this is taking time. Just roll one more strength check for me as you begin kind of like pulling it back further.
20 total.
20. That is what we're after. You crack the door off open through the section and kind of splinters off the side, and you can see that hallways just kind of lead forth from where you are. You can see that this kind of area just begins to head into a relatively large area of hallway. Just begins running off in multiple directions. What's your plan?
Okay, well, that got me a little bit winded, I'd imagine. Just sucking in a bit of breath at the moment.
Yep.
So, can I scream out? What's Thorax's pet's name?
Thorax Junior
Thoju.
or Thoju.
Thoju. All right, I'm basically gonna.
Oh no! It's disappearing.
Where's he been?
Sorry.
It's Thorax. So I'm yelling out, Thorax! Where the fuck are you?
Cool.
I could use you right now. I'm right now.
Okay. So you kind of you yell out to him, and you're just like, "Where the fuck are you? Come on, I need you right now!" And you kind of can't, Thorax from where you are. You just hear.
What's that?
Sorry, I missed that. Okay,
You cut out.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I just hear muffled.
Yeah, you just hear muffles, man. Across an entire library with giant shelves and just echoing. Someone's mad.
What is Thoju here?
I guess it's time for domino effect.
Okay.
Have the rest of us been dashing after Syl, or what are we doing?
At this point in time, you kind of hear, you would, as he got to the doorway, you would be able to, continue. He just booked it, and then you hear him, kind of yelling.
Yeah, I follow because I hear him yelling.
Okay.
I go with Davos.
Cool.
I have good friends.
Takes you about 30 seconds to get there, and he's made it the entire way across this room in just split-second times, and you see that as you begin arriving to where he is, he wrenches this door open, and it kind of opens onto a series of hallways, and he's just screaming, just obviously in extreme anger.
Did Belle cast a spell before I left?
Yeah, she probably would have.
I put the light on your shield.
Yep. And again, it kind of begins to illuminate the area. It kind of cuts a bit of the darkness. But as you begin walking around, are you chasing after Syl or walking through this area?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely chasing after Syl.
So Belle kind of casts light on your shield again. And then immediately Syl just darts off, and you're like, "Hey, what? Oh shit!" And everyone begins running after him. But you all make it to the doorway, and at this point, you open the door, and it seems like just a hallway.
So everyone's with me, eh? Just about.
I'd say
No Thoju.
Thoju and Thorax. What are you guys doing?
I'm staying.
Not a lot.
Thorax. Is that's
I'm guessing their internet's a bit dodgy.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably it. For the minute.
Well,
I do remember him saying something about dominoes, but I'll leave that to him because that's going to be.
Sorry, my internet cut off. Because of all the panic, I'm going to run in and do domino effect.
Okay, cool. So you make it, you squish Thoju through the doorway. He just can just wriggle his way through a door, not an archway. And you get to here, and what are you doing?
I try my best to get Thorax to push both sides. Otherwise, if we can't quite do that, I bash one side then the other.
Okay, cool. So at this point, make a strength check for me with Thoju's first animal handling check, because you're using like a new skill that you were very recently just trying to teach him.
Yep, 23.
Okay. You manage to, it works. You're not sure if this is very well learned, but he begins putting his tentacles out and begins pressing against either side of the books that are next to you. So now just roll 2 strength checks for me. No, just roll 1. Just roll a strength check for.
17 plus 5, 22.
22. Okay, so he begins pushing against these bookshelves, just loaded with books. They're about 15 foot tall, and he's just trying to push against them. You see that the first one begins to shift slightly, and then a shelf cracks, and the tentacle kind of pushes through a little bit. About 80 books fall off the shelf onto the ground, and the tentacle is punched through the back of the bookshelf on the right hand side, just creating a massive hole rather than actually kind of pushing the bookshelf over.
Because I'm on the bookshelf at the back, do I need to make a saving throw or something?
You are nowhere near them. They've kind of just walked in. But yeah, so, and you see the same thing. These things are immense and extremely heavy. It's not sort of trivial to push them over. But you give it your best shot, and it kind of, cracks a shelf, drops a couple of books down, and makes a hell of a crack. What's happening?
Okay. If I can convince him to keep his arms outstretched, or tentacles outstretched, we do that thing that you've always wanted to do at the supermarket, and we run down the lane, knocking books off the shelf.
Sure. Okay. So you guys just begin running down, and at the about 6 foot mark, just all the shelves, all the books start flying off of the shelves through this section here, and you see occasionally one of the books lands on the ground, and there's an explosion of arcane energy, and I'm gonna get you right now, Kelvin, to roll a d10 for me.
Can do. 3.
So you feel this super cold feeling as one of the books kind of cracks on the shelf as you're running past, and you feel extremely cold. It almost feels like you're about to freeze, and then you gain 5 temporary hit points. Just this weird magical effect. You continue running down, and as you get towards the end, it happens again. Go ahead and roll another d10 for me.
Another 3. Do you want me to roll again?
Yeah, roll once more.
8.
So you're just sprinting along, just this craziness, and a book explodes as it hits the ground. You see this arcane kind of flash that just runs straight up the body of Thoju and hits you, and you can see below you that there's this massive blue stripe of skin now that is just this extremely kind of bright blue, almost similar to the Discord blue that we can see on our screens. But it's just a stripe of where the arcane energy has hit, and that's about it. But it's just stained his body completely, as though it's changed the color of his skin. And you kind of sitting on top of his shoulders continue to guide him. You make it to the end of the bookshelves, and what are you doing? As you notice everyone's in the north.
I say to them, somebody knocked over some of the books.
And you all
Nice.
You all look back, and Thorax has this shock of blue hair just the entirety of his head is like all of his hair is bright blue.
Cool.
Thorax,
Isn't he
you
missing
just
half his
blew all
facial
over
hair
yourself.
too?
Sorry, what was that, Belle?
Hasn't he also, something happened earlier on in the campaign and he lost like all his facial hair, like half his beard?
Yeah, I think he lost, like, he singed his face on, like, one of his, like, flaming spheres or something like that. So he's got this, like, kind of stubbly beard at the minute that's a bit burnt at the ends, and then he's got this shock of blue hair, just bright blue, the same colour, and you can see down the front of Thoju, there's just this stripe, like, probably about maybe a foot wide of, like, arcane energy that kind of fans towards the top, and directly where Thorax is sitting is kind of like the epicenter of that. And so they're both kind of like stained almost with this blue. And they're just looking at you. They're just like, "What's wrong?"
Wow.
I just laugh and say nothing.
Yep, that's a thing we can deal with later. Sil, what do you need us to do?
Okay, so that big event has sort of snapped me a bit out of my madness a little bit, because I notice everyone's kind of looking at me, and I'm feeling a little crazy. Magnus looks pretty beat up, doesn't he?
Magnus looks like he's got the beginnings of a black eye, and he's got a split in his skin. He looks like he's ready to help, but he's a bit beaten up. Like, you know what it's like. You remember sparring with Bartolo, and he hit quite hard. Like, he wasn't the most finesse fighter, and you were quite surprised to see like how quick he has become. But he hit hard, and it always hurt. You remember like nursing a couple of wounds back.
Yes, well, friends, this is a personal battle, and I'm sorry for bringing you into it. Follow me if you will, so that you can turn back.
I say I will.
I will follow you, Rage Bunk.
I kind of want to Eldritch Blast that guy in the face, so I'm coming.
I'm always down to kill someone.
Yeah, Ko says from the top of the bookshelves.
I roll my eyes and follow along.
So Ko,
I get
And along the way, I'm
Thoju.
just like, I just get like really excited. I'm just like, who we killing? Who we killing? Who we killing?
I get Thoju to knock over one more book and then follow.
yeah, cool. You just take a swing. I'm just gonna check something here. You hit the book, and it just like explodes into a whole heap of parchment just fluttering through the air, and it like slowly lands on the ground. One of them like lands face up, and you see Thoju's tongue just like stick out, like fly out of his mouth, hit the page, suck it back in, and it just like goes straight down his gullet. But Ko, from where you're standing, you have a really good vantage of like the entire room. You can see that from here there are two exits north, one in the west and one in kind of the center of the room to the north. You can see that. The rest of your group is standing around the one in the west.
I inform them of these exit and I ask Sil where we need to go.
Did you see anyone go through the other exit?
Did I see anyone go through the other exit?
So you've been hanging out on top of the bookshelves the entire time.
Yes.
Okay, and before you ran across to see Sil, where were you? Because it's kind of been like, tokens are in one place and people are in other places, so when everyone was going to check what was going on in the south, where were you?
You mean with what was happening around like the altar thing?
You can ping it on the map.
Yeah, so when everyone was down at the bottom of the map, on the right-hand side, down here, if my ping is going to work,
Yes.
where Davos is actually, where were you? Because that is important.
I was probably
Sorry, I did that.
Back around there.
Okay, and what's your passive perception?
11.
You didn't see them. You didn't see anything. You don't know which doors they went through. You saw Syl just start darting like.
I say, doesn't look like anything to me.
Well, I was pretty focused on this door, so we're going through this door.
Cool.
So should we still go through it?
Well, yeah, maybe actually check the other door. I've calmed down. I'm not just going head first. I want to check the other door now. Yep.
Okay.
So
So should we say as a group?
Yeah. Yeah, you follow. I've got just a funny feeling, you know? Just maybe I've been fooled before. Maybe I've been fooled now too. I think we should. Like, Ko saw this other door, right? She, like, pointed
from where
it out.
she is, she can see, like, the entire room. She's like, hey, there's another door over here. But,
Cool.
like,
Then I'd
you
like
guys-
to try the other door.
Cool. As you walk up to it, you can see that there's a plaque on the back of the door that just says lobby.
Lobby.
That sounds promising.
Let's all go to
That's
the
not sus.
lobby.
Let's all buy some snacks.
Yeah, let's do that. Who's with me?
Let's get a
I'm in.
snack.
Let's also do that too. Yes.
Syl's vanished behind me.
Ta-da!
I like to think you're doing the rascals, like
It's like you're one perfect being.
trying to be as tall as Thoju.
I jump on Syl's shoulders and minor illusion a very long trench coat.
Good dream.
Okay.
Anywhere for you to get closer to his elf nips.
It's canon. It's canon. So, you guys are all standing around the door.
I would like to open the door.
Oh, don't Google elf nipples, jeez.
Post it.
Do not Google elf nipples. Yeah, so you open the door. It opens freely, and it looks like you've got
Yes.
just a hallway that extends directly in front of you, straight towards another door further down. You head up
Oh
towards that
man,
one.
choices.
Yeah, I know, right? It's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
cool.
Well, I guess this is what I chose. Yeah, we're sticking with it.
You're walking down this hallway and you can see again there's bookshelves along the sides. There's a couple of points where there's like a little what do you call it, like a plinth that has like a bust of someone. You walk along and you're looking and there's like modern Canaan. And you see like this dude that's got like a bald head and a little bit of beard, and underneath the plaque it just says for services to the arcane arts. And then further along you see one that says Elminster. And it's just like for services to the arcane arts. And there's like a couple of like busts as you move through here. But you get to the end and open the doorway, and it opens into an extremely, extremely large room. It looks like there's a couple of bookshelves in here, as usual. You're in the archives. There is certainly books. You have what looks like a sitting room where people may wait. You see that there's actually a couple of people sitting around waiting, and they may be waiting for books, or they may be waiting for people to come back to them and help them with queries that they may have about the arcane arts. And you can see that there's one guy sitting at the table and he's kind of just like tapping his finger on the table, waiting for what looks like a one of the archivists that was wearing robes that you first came to the front doors of the archives and met. It looks as though the same robes are being worn by this individual that's over here and wearing like the cloak. And as you begin to walk out, you can see that there's like an exit in the north, just kind of 20 feet from the east. Just give me a second, I'll reveal that section of map, and you'll be able to see it. There you go. And it looks like this is the exit from the archives.
Oh, man. Well, wait, which one did you say looked like he was one of the archivists from earlier?
I mean, wearing the same clothes. Looks like this guy
Wearing
here.
the same clothes.
Yeah, like the same robes.
And there's
he's kind of back to you at the moment, like looking at this bookshelf, and he's kind of like thumbing along, looking for books on it. Yeah.
Okay. I think at the moment I'd like to walk up to the person closest to us and ask him who came through that door last? Who came through this door last?
So you just walk up to the guy. Cool. So you turn around.
Straight to the point.
Yeah, straight to him. And you see that it's like a common guy. He looks like he's on his break. He's got a bit of like what looks like barley kind of across his clothes, as though he's been out in the fields. And he's kind of like, "Oh shit, man! I just came in here. Oh fuck if I know." I mean, everyone's kind of walking in and out of.
Damn it.
I mean, you could ask one of these guys. He kind of like turns around, and there's a couple of like archivists that have got robes on, and one of them looks up and is just like, "Can I help you? Is there something I can help you with? What?
Yes.
Do hold up! Stop! 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 What are you doing back there?"
Back where?
What are you doing?
A clever ruse, Gordon. A clever ruse.
What's that?
What are you doing coming through that doorway? We do not have your knowledge as entering the archives today.
We were lost. We've just walked in.
Oh, you just walked in. That doesn't happen very easily. So, what is going to happen is, see over here, and he kind of like points to a set of books, a set of tables. He's just like, you and your friends are going to go over there and wait. And we are going to call the town guard, and we will get to the bottom of this.
We've got two of them with us. They were escorting us here. Nada, Serge?
And at this point, you do see Nada and Serge kind of walk through with the rest of the party. They're just like, "You want us to get the guard? We're the guard. What do you want?" And the guy's just like, what were you doing within the archives? You know that this is off limits to all people that haven't been given express entrance rights.
We were here to deliver a research specimen to one of your arcanists, Master Stefan. He has an interest in fiends, I believe, so we had a research specimen for him. Exiting his extra-dimensional space, we just got a little bit lost and wandered our way out.
Please sign in as to the time that you would have originally arrived. And he kind of opens the ledger, and you can see that there is about like 5 entries from what today would have been. And you can see there's a column that says name, a column time entered, Arcanist witnessed, and he's already written for 7 spaces his own name. And you can see that this is Thrandador. And he has written his name in a very nice cursive. And as it kind of gets down to the bottom, he turns it around and he's just like, names, times, and looks across towards one of the windows near the north of the room, and you can see that there's what looks like some kind of very intricately made clock that's just ticking over slowly, a couple of like pieces of arcane steel that are like moving past each other. And it looks as though the sun rising and setting, and looking up, you've never seen something like this before, but it's a depiction of like the day passing, and you can just at the moment see the beginning of what looks like a crescent moon rising on the left hand side. But you can go ahead and tell that it's late afternoon at the moment. He's just like, please enter that it is 5:18 in exiting time. Names.
Okay, I'll fill it out
entry.
for everyone.
Yeah, I'm not much of a calligrapher, so
Cool. I'll do the writing.
Nice. So Magnus, you write everyone's name down. Make sure that you show that you go through Magnus Lamont, Syl Fleetfoot, there's Thorax Abdomen, you got Cobalt, Beliga, and Falcor El Dragon. Is that it, Falcor?
Sorry, is that what it?
Your family name?
Oh yeah, Fell Dragon.
Fell Dragon. And
Probably without the Eastern European accent.
and Davos Zora, as you finish writing everyone's name into the ledger, and then you see that Serge and Nada kind of walk up and they're just like, "We're not signing this." And Arcanus is just like, "Right, okay. On your way. Please leave."
At this point, I'm overwhelmed with guilt, and I call out, "Somebody knocked over a whole bunch of books in there."
And the guy turns around and he's like, "What's the hell? Oh, good God. What is that? Get it outside. Outside now. Take it outside." And just begins pointing, and you see this, like, he casts a spell that kind of, like, leaves his body shimmering for a moment, and it kind of just, like, disappears, and he's just like, "Take that outside now, otherwise it will be destroyed."
I'm going to do it, but not because you did, but because all the books that got knocked over. It's very rude, and you shouldn't do that to people.
Okay. And as you kind of walk past him with this, 8.5 foot froghemoth, it just begins, like, his jaw drops open and he's just like, kind of sighs, braces himself against the table, and looks back to you, Magnus, as you finish writing the final name, which is Thorax Abdomen. And you just sort of smile back up at him and he's just like, "Leave. Please leave."
Yes, we were just leaving.
Yep. I look back at the door we came through and just kind of sigh, like, and then I think my rage has kind of passed.
It's fair.
Like just.
You're not a barbarian. You don't get to rage.
No, not true rage. It's like just stupid rage. I don't get strength from it. I get stupidity from it. Yeah, there is that.
Yeah.
He gets stupidity from it.
Cool. So
Yeah, there's a bit of that.
you all exit the archives, and as you open the doors, you can see that the sun is setting over Daggerford. The city is being bathed in kind of an amber light at the moment, and you begin making your way back to, I'm assuming, to the Bearded Dragon, where you're looking to take an evening's rest. And
Bless you.
Thank you.
As we go ahead and wrap up this evening's episode, is there anything that anyone else would like to do before heading home for a rest?
I think we all need to go to the Bearded Dragon and have a fucking drink. So, to come along, or you can leave if you like. I did say I owe you a beer, but I get that it's been a long day. The rest of us, however, beer.
I owe Magnus a beer.
You see Serge and Nada, and Serge kind of looks across at him and he's like, "Well, he needs a drink. I can tell that, and I fucking need a drink." And you see Nada's kind of like still pale-faced, like reeling from all of the shit that he's seen today. Nada's kind of a bit younger, and he hasn't been as experienced in the service of the guard. He's kind of like, that was some fucking shit to see today, and he's still a bit white-faced. And you see the Serge kind of knocks him in the shoulder, and he's just like, "Come on. First one's on him." And kind of points across at Magnus, and he's like, First barrel. We'll be sweet after that." and then they just begin walking ahead of you guys. And I think at that point is going to be where we wrap up for this evening, making your exit from the archives, uncovering some interesting backstory for Syl, meeting with a previous apprentice, or previous colleague, I suppose, apprenticing as a monk, and perhaps we'll find out more about that the next time on the Secret Sects Dungeon. My name's Luke McFan. Thank you all very much for watching. For the next couple of episodes, what I've been thinking of doing is actually going ahead and having a week of downtime for our adventurers. So we'll be discussing together what that week of downtime looks for each of them, looks like for each of them, and what they want to do. Go ahead, search out some short-term goals towards their own characters' backstories, or whether there's something they want to do as like a smaller group to go find some things out about the archives, or perhaps something to do with what happened when Artist was robbed on the road. We'll have to stick around and come back next Monday. We'll be doing the same thing, and then after that, we'll have to have a couple of shorter episodes, perhaps even one-on-ones with myself and each of our players to go ahead and see what happens in their own stories. But for the moment, thank you all for watching tonight. I understand we had some audio issues and we had a bit of a late kickoff from my own audio issues, but everyone stuck it out, so thank you very much, and I hope you're having a great time watching along. We're having fun telling the stories, so that's the main thing, I suppose. And you can always check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Secret Sex Dungeon. We've got a couple of funny memes, and our real-life bard Magnus has been writing a couple of limericks recently that are quite hilarious about the party, which has been fun. And we've got ourselves on Instagram at instagram.com/Secret Sex Dungeon. You can come find us by searching Secret Sex Dungeon. We post a whole heap of memes, trying to give you guys reminders about when we're going live and when YouTube videos go up and stuff like that. Reminding myself that YouTube, you can also find us at Secret Sex Dungeon. Go ahead and find the first 9 episodes of the game, and from there you can catch up to what's been going on in the lives of these people. We had some fun at Lightwatch Tower, and now we're back in Daggerford. But for now,